So I want to basically share this is my timeline as I remember it, as I continue to talk about my Dan Ryan case. So initially, I entered into contract to buy this house in, I think it was June, but I'll have to figure that out. When I entered into contract on this house, there were, of course, you have to ratify, etc. I put my deposit. $15,000 was required to secure the lot, which I did. And subsequently, what happened was I signed a bunch of disclosures. Okay. One of the disclosures I signed is that my lot has not been purchased. Right. When I went to go to survey the area, again, it was an undeveloped area. I could not see where my house was located. The image that Dan Ryan showed me a river, right? And it looked like it was nothing but forest, right? There was no highway in the picture. Moving along, right, and I continued to go through the process. And I took a lot of pictures, and so I'm going to show the pictures of from dig out, from build, pre-drywall, and drywall inspection, just to show the progression of my house. In September, I was September 2022. I was scheduled to close, and at that time, I was in a pretty crappy relationship, and that in turn resulted in me like having a lot of like my credit cards, being used. I also was going through PTSD treatment, and so I almost lost this house. However, my loan officer was great. And, when I showed the project manager my, I had a pre-closing inspection, which had over like 100 and something discrepancies. I showed my project manager the report, and he said, "Are you still closing on whatever day that was?" Didn't even give a shit, right? When I went to close, again, I showed them the report. They asked me, "Okay, which one of these do you want to get fixed? Because we can't fix all of them." Which I was like, what? And some of them are quite menial, but then some of them are like pretty significant. And so I gave them the ones that I wanted fixed immediately before closing, with the condition of I want the rest fixed after closing. However, during this time, I never knew that there was a noise problem. And I say that, you might be wondering, well, how did you not know that there was a noise problem? Well, many times when I visited his house, I was in glee. Like I was in buyer's, like, fantasy. But what really happened was on the day of closing, which I did not notice, and my real estate agent, she was useless. That's another story. I was taking some pictures. I actually need to show that video, right? And I was like, "Oh, this house is so nice," and blah blah blah. But what I caught in the picture, which I was not able to catch before, and I don't know if this was a on purpose thing, right? My deck was not built. Everyone else's deck was built except mine, right? And I don't know if that was on purpose because of the noise. Just saying. But when I went to go and close, which I didn't notice of because I didn't pay attention, and my real estate agent didn't do anything. I noticed that there was, and I took at the after pictures after they move, after I tell you what happened. I noticed that there was a semi truck parked near the highway. Didn't even think anything of it because I'm like, okay, they're doing construction, not an issue, right? But when they moved that truck, October 6th, was my first complaint to Maryland Department of Highway and Transportation, because the semi trailer was stopping the noise from my house. Okay. Anyway, I made a complaint. MDOT didn't do anything. I kind of just dealt with it, put up a bunch of stuff like, noise reduction curtains, a whole bunch of noise, like just things to just try to block out the noise and the vibration. I made a move, and I think this was probably the worst thing I did, was I moved my bed not from where the noise is hitting me from the back to in my face, right? And I say that because my bed was against the wall where the highway is at. And when I moved it, because I was getting a lot of noise, now my problem is vibration. So it's no longer about noise now, it's vibration. Because again, sound is energy, right? So this pissed me off. And I knew that because, again, I had to make a claim within 3 years because that's just Maryland law. I involved my neighbors. My neighbors have a lot of complaints, various complaints, but a lot of them also have noise complaints. Also, many neighbors have told me that they have improved their walls. So my next step was to go ahead and order a noise study, like see what's going on behind these walls, because I don't know what's going on behind these walls. I didn't know what's going on. And again, my chief complaint again was regarding, hot and cold for the energy. But really, I wanted it to know, like, what's going on behind my walls, because like if there's insulation there, right, then I shouldn't be getting this noise, or it shouldn't be as loud and penetrating. So I ordered it. I also asked them to tell me, like, what's the cost to reduce this noise, etc. $30,000 to fix this house. And that is only just a couple rooms. And that's not the fixed. And so the next step that I went into was I said, you know what? I'm going to write them. So I wrote Dan Ryan asking them to fix this noise stuff, as well as the developer. And the developer returned my paperwork 3 months later. Nothing. Dan Ryan kept it. And just to stay focused onto the story, I began engaging the County Department of Permitting and Inspections. They initially seemed helpful, meaning that they were like, okay, we'll look at this, etc. But then as I began to dig deep into like the documents, which I don't have all the documents, because I wanted to know like what was required. And this question came up because the home loan, when I also submitted a complaint with the home loan guarantee division. And when I spoke to the VA rep, he's like, well, what's the requirement? And I was like, I don't know what's the requirement. And that's a simple question, right? You should have that. So that kind of went, and that kind of, just geared my, I just kind of started going down the path. And what I found was, again, I started reading the plans for my community. I started looking at the